Welcome into Missouri 8-Man Football Week 2 preview. I'm Devin Albertson, joined by Anthony Crane of KQ2. Here is we're going to look back at a little bit of Week 1, what we got right, what we didn't get right, and kind of look into Week 2 and surprise guest of the show, Coach Dean, is going to join us here for a little bit here as well. How's it going, Coach?
It's going well. How you guys doing?
No, just can't get rid of the guy, can we?
Glad we got the band back together.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even tell
Well,
Anthony,
so
like,
we
I
couldn't
send the
play
link, we'll see if
together
he joins
anymore.
in or not. So
Someone's got to come on here and keep you guys honest.
I mean, that is fair. After last week, Anthony and I, 22 games picked. I went 16-6. Anthony went 13-9 in the first week on there. But it is what it is.
Thanks, North Andrew.
North Andrew didn't help us. Platte Valley getting upset by Pattonsburg. Great win for Coach Burkhead up there. And then both 1 and 2, Archie and Worth County both went down. So a lot of big game upsets last week. Where do you guys want to start on those?
Well, you have Philip Dean here when we go to your game.
You invite me in on the pick'ems.
Well, because
you said to keep
you
us
don't
honest.
throw me softballs first. You bring me in on the pick'ems immediately.
That way you just make fun of us. I will say one of us here picked Drexel to win. It was me. So how was that game? And I kind of watched a little bit on the film, but you were there, Dean. Tell us a little about Drexel Liberal.
Well, I actually wasn't there in person myself. I watched it on the stream. I had some family issues to attend to.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you're finding a Drexel team that's got to replace a lot of starters, graduated a lot of guys both on the offense and defensive side. So you got a lot of players starting in new positions for the first time. So they got to kind of figure out what varsity ball is all about. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning process. And, of course, you get into the buzzsaw of Lockwood week 2. So that learning process just really amps up even this next week.
Yeah, a lot of you guys starting there for Drexel, but a lot of guys who popped off on film to me for Drexel are some of the senior guys on there. You saw Nichols there at quarterback. I thought looked pretty good. They kind of started using Cade Eastwood later in the game on there. That really kind of opened up their offense. He's a pretty good athlete. On there, I was going to joke with his brother Chandler that Cade's a better athlete than Chandler is. At this point, hope Cade hears this and tells Chandler I said that. I even saw the other Danger kid, Tristan, had a long touchdown run there as well, and Miles Wheeler had a nice game as well. So a couple of nice players there for Drexel in that senior class.
For sure.
Played well there versus Liberal.
Those are the guys you're going to need to carry till the other ones can kind of gain that game experience and kind of understand what level of play they need to get to. And, shout out to Liberal, too. They really made things interesting there. Coach Zuha, kind of the pirate of 8-man there, about recover 2 onside kicks at the end of the game. I had to laugh because he was telling me that he used to scout my onside kicks, and he had different names for all of them. And then he started pulling them out there at the end of the Drexel game. So really resourceful guy down there, trying to give his guys the best shot, best chance to win.
Yeah, because you got the Beeman kid at quarterback who I thought played a decent game on there. Again, the huddle stream that I tried to watch when I went to make replay, the last 4 minutes, it stopped recording. So I didn't get to see all the mischiefness with the onside kicks there for Zuha. So he was able to hide that from film, for me at least, on there. But Beeman looked solid there. Maddox Miller, Gunnar Miller's little brother, he's pretty fast. That kid gets to the edge there. He definitely popped off the screen there. That kid can move a little bit down the sideline there. So
Gunnar Miller.
Gunnar Miller.
I haven't heard in a while.
That kid, I remember one of the first years we started doing this bigger on there, and we saw Gunnar Miller and we saw the mullet. We're like, that kid, love that kid already. He was a good player there for Liberal.
Oh, that was one. I was glad he graduated.
Yeah, he was a good player there for him. So we'll stay in the South here real quick. The game that I was at was Lockwood and Archie on there, and kind of the first 2 drives of the game, Lockwood went right down the field on Archie, scored a couple of touchdowns. Archie went, I think, maybe got a first down, then had to punt, and then had to punt again or turn it over on downs. The first 2 drives for Archie didn't really do much on there. Lockwood got the ball back, started the second quarter, and they were it felt like they were going to march down, take a 3-score lead, and things were just going to go really bad for Archie. Lockwood, about 2 plays in the drive, they fumble. Archie recovers. 2 plays later, Leaper throws a touchdown to Cash on there. And then the next drive, next snap for Lockwood, they fumble again deep in their own territory. Archie scores a couple plays later, and we're all of a sudden in a ball game on there. So it felt like it went from Lockwood possibly taking complete control of the game to Archie kind of getting new life there. And then at that point going forward, it was just back and forth all game. Going to the fourth quarter, Archie takes a lead, and then Roper Gray returns the kickoff back for a touchdown. Lockwood takes the lead. Archie goes down and scores, and then Lockwood scores with 2 seconds left on a broken play because Archie had really sniffed the play out. It was supposed to be a roll out to the left with Ogden. Their defensive end or outside backer came up and blew the play up. Ogden had a reverse field, and Contreras was leaking open in the flat because he was blocking. He just leaked out to the flat. Wasn't supposed to be there. Ends up catching the touchdown pass for the game winner. So really, really fun game, and 2 teams that I would not be surprised to play later in the year, but also Archie's got to go through Appleton again in districts on there just to get the Lockwood on there. So a very tough stretch for Archie to get back to where they've been over the last couple of years. But that was a fantastic football game, and 2 teams I came with really impressed with afterwards.
No doubt for Archie, it's hard to keep that streak going, for that undefeated streak going for so many years. You're taking everybody's best shot. And then Lockwood, like you said, had those 2 turnovers in the first half. So hats off to coach there to kind of correct the ship and come out strong in the second half and not let those early turnovers really affect them.
Oh, don't bullshit us. You were thrilled to see them lose.
Well, everybody wants a shot at the best to get kind of understand where you're at this season, and Lockwood's been knocking on that door.
I was just trying to get you out of that coach speak you were falling into again.
Yeah, Lockwood, they were 0-7 against Archie.
Listen, I know you and Coach Smith get along pretty well, but don't pretend like there's not a rivalry there, as if you're not happy to see your rival lose.
I'm not in the game right now, so I just it's a neutral party.
Here we go. Still the coach speak.
See, Dean was mad it wasn't him who knocked him off, so it was like someone else did. So it's like, it's great for them now. It's great for Lockwood. He's like, I wanted it to be me.
You know what I'm curious about is last year, week 1, Lockwood Archie played a really close game, down again to the final seconds, and then when they met back in the playoffs, Archie really kind of took control of that game in the second half. So, if you're Lockwood, you still got some other marquee matchups coming up, but that's kind of another one you're looking for another revenge for, and hoping to come up on the top.
Yeah, but I think also on the flip side is you finally got over the hump.
Ooh,
and that alone could
the mental hurdle.
Yeah, it could be huge if they were to meet again. I also think you're just seeing that Archie isn't, and still obviously talent, but like after year upon year of you losing that talent, there's only so much you can do. And I think you finally see that they just haven't been able to quite replace it. And by that, I mean they're still a top 5 team in the state. So
Exactly, they've fallen from number 1 for sure to like, hey, they're like 4th or 5th. That's not a huge drop off, but it's something there. And really, over the last, I would say 5 years, this is probably the worst team they've had over the last 5 years. I'll go the last year that Drexel won their district championship over Archie on there. I think that Archie team is still probably a little better than this one. This year's seeing both of them on there with the Sutton kid. Dylan Sutton was at running back. That was a really good Archie team that no one saw yet because they couldn't get past Jacob Coffey and Coach Dean here down there in the South on there. But that team was really good, and they had their stretch. They lost to North Andrew in the semifinal, won their back-to-back state championships. Now this year's team, I would think is probably of the 5, the least talented of the 5. Doesn't mean they can't do great things this year, but just comparing to their past teams, they have a little more to overcome talent-wise than they've had in the past. They've had some just studs graduate over the last couple of years, as you said.
Which leads us to, and I think this is where it's great to have Coach Dean, because I think Appleton is kind of the same way. And no bigger fan of Appleton City than me, but they haven't. Every time you think this is it, they've come up short. And I think even more so than Lockwood, that A or the Twister, whichever it is that they see, immediately you don't get that same Appleton team that I think we're used to. So I think I'm going to see if they can get over that.
Yeah, that really leads to this week's matchup. where Archie's
You
gonna.
like that transition? Professional
journalist right there.
Hey, I was a communication majors for half a semester, so.
Well,
Half a semester. That's great.
Archie's looking to correct the ship. Even in their game versus Lockwood there, from first half to second half, I think you saw Coach Smith trying to figure this year's team out a little bit more. Some of the things he went to the last couple of years that brought him success. Where Lockwood did a great job kind of locking down. So you kind of see Archie calling some different plays in the second half. And give him another week at that. I'll be interested to see what he pulls out here versus Appleton. And then I'm with you, Crane. I think Appleton's got to be licking their chops here. You got a wounded Archie team, and you feel pretty good about your team in Appleton. So, man, it's going to be a slobber knocker Friday night.
Well, because if you think about it, a loss, I think it may hurt Appleton more than it would Archie. Because you're Appleton, you think this is the year you got to take that step. Now you're not only behind Archie, but now you're behind Lockwood again as well. So I think it's a must-win game.
Yeah, it's almost a type of psychologically on there. Looking at Archie down there, it's almost like you actually see them lose. It's like, yeah, they do bleed on there. There is a vulnerability on there, and it kind of gives maybe some more, not hope, but more belief that, hey, we can also be that team that can knock them off there as well and get back in that top 3 pecking order in the South. Between Appleton, Lockwood, and Archie, Archie might be where Lockwood was at their first couple of years of 8-man, where they'd play Archie and Drexel first 2 weeks, lose those 2, string off 7 straight victories, and then, okay, let's see what they do in the playoffs, because we haven't seen them since those first 2 weeks really get challenged. So we'll see if Archie follows that same path that Lockwood had for a couple of years, or if they can ride the ship early this week. The Appleton-Greenfield game was one of the few games I couldn't find on Huddle or YouTube or anything like that, so I wasn't able to see Cash Anderson run for his 208 yards on 14 carries and 5 touchdowns against Greenfield.
You know what? That's pretty good. That's pretty good for Greenfield. You know what?
They held him to
you think that's
15 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
With that, so pretty interesting. Also, Bryson James for Appleton also ran for 9 carries for 119 yards and 2 scores.
Okay. Yeah.
So he had a nice game, and then Brownsburger at quarterback, the sophomore, had 8 for 87 and 2 scores. So
good grief,
they ran for 493
established
yards.
the run.
Yeah,
493 yards.
If Brownsburger can get going at quarterback, I think that team gets scary pretty fast.
He's a much different runner than Bach was last year. He is a little more straight downhill and will thump you a bit more because Bach was a speedster on there. So I think he brings that. He's bringing more of the power to Cash Anderson's speed on there. And that could be really interesting for that offense. So they have that dynamic back there. And I haven't seen how the Bryson James kid runs again. Wasn't able to see Appleton's film. I saw everyone else pretty much this weekend. But doesn't look like they had too many issues with their 550 yards of offense against Greenfield.
Well, and I think quarterback and nothing against the guys that came before, but they've been needing a guy to run the system they want to run, and I think now you have that chance.
Yes. Yeah, coaches really tried to maximize the guys that have been there, and he's gotten the most out of them they can. But like you're saying, this new guy Browning almost maybe seems a little bit tailor-made there for what coach is trying to do down there in Appleton. And man, if Cash Anderson can pull this off his senior year, that's a nice capstone on what's been a pretty prolific rushing career.
So who wins?
Ooh.
See, but you have the freedom now.
Oh boy. I'm gonna have to say Archie. I'm gonna think Archie rights the ship. I think they're gonna play a little bit angry. I know after 21 we went undefeated, and 22.
Hold on, wait a minute.
And 22.
Did you come on the Did you come on the show to interview for a DC job at Archie? You've been brown nosing that program since you put those headphones on.
In 22, we finally lost the game, and we were able to relax as a team and kind of take a breath because we were playing so tight. The expectations to continue to win and win state the following year brought a lot of stress. So that first loss really kind of loosened us up a little bit. So, in a close game where Cash Anderson runs for 500 yards, I'm going to say Archie wins.
What about you, Anthony? Who do you think, Archie or Appleton?
I have Appleton as the second best team in the state. And pressure's on them.
All right, so Anthony's taking Appleton.
I think they have to. I think I would like to believe that they're going to go into this knowing this is what we have to do to take that next step. I think that's a team that you have a sophomore quarterback, but you have some leaders, some guys that have been there a while, and I think and I know it's the problem with Archie is they don't have as many bullets as they've had in the past. They have a great one at quarterback, and that's going to win them a lot of games and keep them in just about every game. But I think you have to go with the more talented team, and I think for the first time, at least since Archie moved down, I think Appleton finally has more talent.
I've wrestled with this game back and forth kind of all week of who I'm going to take on here. The last 2 years, I have broadcasted the Appleton Archie game, and they have not gone well for Appleton City. So I'm avoiding it this week to give Coach Borland and company a little bit of luck of me not being there. So I'm going to take Appleton City in this one. I think Cash Anderson kind of goes back to the Cash Anderson, Tristan Leeper debate. They're both really good players on there. I think Cash at this point is a little more explosive and dynamic because everyone's focusing so much on Tristan Leeper there, and they want to establish a little bit of passing game because their next best offensive weapon right now is Jackson Cash on the outside, and they want to get him the ball on the perimeter, which requires Leeper to throw the ball a little bit more. So we'll see. They don't have the other Sutton running back to run off there right now. They don't have that other guy right now that's kind of limiting their rushing attack. And maybe it's just Lockwood's really good defensively. I was really impressed with Owen Patterson and company there for Lockwood on defense. Those kids tackle in open space. I haven't seen many teams limit an Archie quarterback over the last 5 years. They've had some studs back there, but limit them the way they did was really impressive. I'm not sure if that's a Lockwood thing or if it's an Archie blocking issue thing. At this point, we'll see after this week if Leeper gets back going a little bit. Because I remember like Dean texted me during the game, like, is Leeper not getting loose? I'm like, not really. Like, he's had his longest run was off a scramble, off a pass play where he got like 20 yards off it. Other than that, he was really limited on the run game for the most part on there. Lockwood did a really good job of keying on him on there. So
and also,
that's what I have.
And Lockwood is, again, one of those programs that's right up there for me. Is one of my favorites because since they moved down, they have only gotten better. And, they lose talent consistently. Guys, it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know who. You have one of the best running backs in the state. He's gone.
Yeah. And
then you just beat Archie. You know what I mean?
Sean Contreras and Roper Gray just step right in and they split carries and they're both effective.
That's what I mean. When I said that on Twitter, there aren't many programs in the state that I think are run better. They don't have the championships, but you don't hear a lot of noise out of there as far as people don't really complain about playing them.
You always hear well coached, physical, fundamental sound. I mean, you hear that all the time from the Lockwoods, the Albanys on there. There's certain programs who haven't gone over the hump to win a state championship. You're like, you know what? That team was just hard to play because they didn't ever mess up. Like just things like that are just it's valuable on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to let Anthony talk about his game that he was at last week because that was the other top three matchup, Rockport, Worth County. I was able to watch it back later on Huddle on there. But Anthony, what was your thoughts whenever you watched those two Northwest Missouri powerhouses go at it?
I think we were right. I think as far as in some order, they're 1-2, 1-2, or 2-3, somewhere in there. I think those two teams are really good. I think Rockport's better. And if they played 10 times, I think they may win 7. And that seems like a huge advantage, but they were more physical.
They're bigger up front. They are.
Yeah. Now the thing is, and they shot themselves in the foot a lot with penalties and things like that, which help Worth County. But they also, they got the turnovers. The thing is with both these teams is what they do at quarterback. Because backfield wise, Cole Ruby is one of my favorite players in the state.
Oh yeah, yes.
I'm just waiting for him to kind of take off, and I think he will. Hard to do a lot against Rockport, but I think he still ran the ball well. And then the Fish kid, Bo Collins. They just move him all over. They
He's a
let him
freak.
block. They'll put him a receiver. But yeah, I think they both have new quarterbacks, and I don't know. Like I said, Worth County switched theirs out. Now there was maybe something about maybe he was banged up a little bit. I don't know. So now you're relying on a freshman at quarterback. And with Rockport, the QB battle was up in the air until like last week. And his problem is when they throw the ball, he looks at one guy, in which I get it. Jack Meyerkorth is a great player, but you can't. And that was the other thing to me. I like that they run the ball. I don't like that you're a running team with your best weapon at receiver. So I want to see if they can get him more touches, even if they bring him in. Now the Brock kid was amazing.
Brock Holmes is a good player. He had 205 yards and 3 touchdowns on 26 carries against Worth County. He was very good.
Yeah, and earned it. And I was blown away by how good he was in that one.
It's a tough little sucker.
Yeah.
For Crane, for a team like Rockport, kind of like you're saying with Appleton, is this kind of one of those marquee wins that you think that, kind of we've made it a little bit or kind of reached that next level?
I don't know. I mean, they're already a confident group. Like,
Yeah.
I think they know they're talented. And it's just kind of that era in Rockport right now, not to get in other sports, but even on the girls' side, that is a talented group. And I think
they got athletes in
it's,
school.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think it's just a generation of kids that have just whooped ass their entire lives. And so I don't think for them beating Worth County was a huge like.
I think for Rockport,
they assumed it.
Going back there, I think their big win last year was beating South Holt. They had healthy Cole Metzger and following it up with a win against Naughty Valley last year. I think those were their two, like, hey, we are back, kind of where their wins were last year. Knowing that this whole group, minus Corbin Jacob, was coming back this year, that 2025, they were going to be really, really, really good, and kind of one of the big dogs in Northwest Missouri on there. So really interesting to see with that. And as Anthony said, Brock Holmes was really good. Anther at quarterback. I do worry that sometimes Rockport, it's going to be the weapons were like Schuyler County 2 years ago. Really good running back, stood out their receiver. What else do you are there any other options besides use your bell cow running back and just chuck it to number 3 on the outside? Or for them, it was, I remember his name now, for Mason Humphrey for Schuyler County, who was also an excellent receiver out there. Is there anything else that
he was awesome? Yeah,
so good. Is there anything else you can kind of do? Because Amther, just like the quarterback for Schuyler, not overly mobile either. Like you can tell sometimes if there was any type of pressure, he wasn't going to be able to avoid a whole lot of extra pressure that was on him. He's a pocket passer. He's not going to get guys going to move a whole bunch on there as well. So it's just something to look at there. Luckily for him, he does have Ryder Heron and the Gebhardts kid in front of him blocking, who are just massive human beings. So that helps quite a bit for their blocking situation. But Rockport should be a team that
is a good thing with both those teams. Is like the Sanders kid and for Rockport, they're not statues. So I think there's improvement there. I don't know. And like I said, I always felt like the state champion will come from that game, and it's whichever quarterback improves the most throughout the year. And it's by December.
And just looking on film, Anther might have been a little bit slower just because he was still processing. He was his first start at quarterback. He gets 5 or 6 starts under his belt. He can process faster in those situations where he could take off and run that he didn't do week 1. He might be doing by the time they get to Nottoway Valley week 8. So it might be a situation where he develops enough to get to that point to be more confident, and then he can use his legs a little bit more and trust what he's seeing a little bit better. Having your first start of your high school career being at Worth County,
Yeah.
not ideal.
Well,
The-
and that's
For
even the
confidence
first
on that's
game we
a
talked about.
not
Like,
great. But
like even if you're Archie, it's like you have a lot of new pieces.
Yeah.
And you're opening the season with Lockwood. Like
Yeah.
that's not fun.
it's fun
Speak,
for us, but it's not fun for as a sophomore or freshman trying to jump in there and start.
Speaking of teams like Lockwood, Worth County is kind of one of those teams that always seems to reload or shuffle the talent. Crane, do you think that Worth County will rebound from this loss and kind of grow as the year goes on and look to be dangerous in the playoffs?
I do. I think size was a bit of an issue, well, more of an issue than I kind of expected it to
Mm,
be.
Outside of Collins.
Yeah, and I'll be curious, and I think we'll see more. I think the Albany game will be interesting for them
Ooh,
true.
they're
because
big up
Albany
front.
is also big. Now, if they struggle again in that one, because I think they're much better than Albany, and I think Albany's well coached. They may have the best player in the conference, but just they have way more talent than Albany. If they struggle there, then I think that's a sign for concern. But like I said, they have made one of my favorite running backs in the state.
Yeah.
That coaching staff has experience galore. Um,
Yeah.
and then Bo Collins is a monster. So
That helps.
yeah. So they have the talent. Like I said, I think they could easily meet again at Missouri Western in December.
One thing that Worth County's going to run into is their two biggest obstacles in District 7, Albany and King City, are both going to be much bigger up front than them. Worth County's going to have more skill guys that are better and more probably overall team talent, but matchup-wise, those two teams are both going to be bigger than Worth County when they match up against them up front.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I saw your 64-6. I refuse to believe in you, King City. You have to earn that before. I've been heartbroken too many times because
You're a scoring lover there.
Yeah, because they're
I'll tell you what,
again talented.
They got DeKalb this week, so you won't see much of proving for you this week. They do have Albany at home week 3, so that is their first. Okay, this is the big test for King City. Will be week 3 versus Albany. They get Worth County in week 9 in Grant City, so those are kind of their biggest games on the docket there for King
Crane,
City. So.
Can't you let Todd Shiflett have one win? Like
Nope.
let him enjoy this one, man.
In fairness,
soak it in.
I think he's been at King City his whole life. So
hats off to Coach up there. Good job, man.
I mean, congrats. I'm just saying.
Anthony's a scoring lover when it comes to King City.
The team that you took to the woodshed, I had picked to win a state title.
So did I. Barker Muffin Company.
Well, we're not going to hold that over King City's head now. It's a whole new group of guys. New coach.
You know what? I think King City, and I think I'd like to. I think they also agreed with me when they said that they have underachieved in recent history. I think it'd be hard to argue they haven't. With a school that constantly produces talent. This young quarterback they have can sling it. I like the skill guys. The Ryder Sample is one of my favorite athletes. He's good at everything
He's still there somehow. He's still there somehow. That's my thing. Ryder Sample's having that Drew Quinlan kind of syndrome right here. Like, he's still back for another year out there. So, yeah, he's really good. Graham Metzger's a pretty physical running back there for him. And the quarterback, Landon Carlson, can sling it a little bit. He's a really good athlete. Great basketball player, too.
And I think now it becomes a 2-horse race. I don't think they're near Worth County, but maybe.
I don't know.
I was high on North Andrew, and they still could prove me right. But not a great week 1. So I think the GRC is still kind of outside of maybe Worth County, King City, Albany. After that, I think.
It's hard to tell with Albany, too, because, they beat DeKalb week 1 on there, and they do have Nolly Valley this week, which would be a good test for Albany.
But I don't think it's hard because Fountain's going to get the best out of them, and you have the best player in the conference. So I think.
Oh, yeah, there is a high floor for Albany on there.
Good point.
With that. And also for Worth County, bouncing back this week is probably the worst time to play Worth County is after they lose a game on there because they're just angry. So they go to Oregon to play South Holt on there. So Worth County South Holt. Who do you got in that one, Anthony? As they're going over to Oregon.
You know, we're both big fans of South Holt. Not this week. Good grief. I,
Gonna be tough for them.
I will say this. I was, after seeing Stanberry limited action in the Jamboree in both camp, impressive win. Because I think that's a better Stanberry team than last year.
They're young still. They're super young.
Sure. But so, I mean, South Holt's not exactly
They're not old either.
led
No.
by a bunch of veterans. I mean, their quarterback's a freshman. So I think before we bury them this week, you know, with Worth County does the burying for us. Congrats on, you know, a solid week 1 win. Because I think people believe that game would be closer than it was.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see here. Other big games this week, just talk about a little bit Albany and Nottoway Valley. What do you think of Nottoway Valley week 1 versus St. Joe Christian? Another game that I wasn't able to watch any of film-wise, but it sounded like Nottoway Valley jumped on them early and often and pulled away quickly.
Well, as we discussed, you know, a few days ago, it's a rough time at Christian right now. They're dropping like flies. I think they only have a few kids that really have experience playing right now. So I think it's similar to Albany. It's hard to really judge where they're at right now. I think, and that's why I chose that game. Is I think this is a good. We will see where both of them are at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think if Nottoway Valley struggles, that kind of knocks them off. But I think if it's a close game, then we're back to kind of seeing where they're at.
Yeah, because I looked at Nottoway Valley. They had sent me their stats on there, and no one had over 35 yards rushing, but they had like 6 guys over 20 yards on there. So they had a bunch of guys like, hey, we'll give them a couple carries on there. They still had 173 yards rushing and 230 yards passing in that win against Christian on there. So they kind of let a lot of guys eat there in that game on there, jumped on them early. I mean, the Sarley kid, who's their best player, had 6 carries for 31 yards and 2 touchdowns as we lost Dean there. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad on there. Just, I don't know. Nottoway Valley, they're hard to put a thumb on for me right now because they lost a lot of size up front.
But they're still talented. And I think,
Yes, they're still talented.
They're probably the second best team in that conference.
Yeah, until proven otherwise. I think because you would think them or Platte Valley, then Platte Valley loses to Pattonsburg week 1 in a game where they combined
They probably
for
shouldn't have, but they
1,000
did.
yards of offense.
Yeah.
On there. So yeah, Nottoway Valley would be an interesting one for that one. Who do you got between Nod Valley and Albany?
Oof. I think Albany has the best player, so I'm going to go with them. And like I said, maybe it's hopeful thinking, but I think it's a close and pretty good game.
He's back.
Hey.
Let's see here. Other game, the game that I will be at on Friday, decided to stay in kind of the central part of the state. Wellington Napoleon, who's receiving votes in the poll at number 9, Norburn Hardin Central. Was able to kind of watch a little bit of these teams, Norburn Hardin Central, over the summer on there as they were getting ready for the season. A lot of size up front, and they're really high in their quarterback Pfeiffer. There, he ran for 5 touchdowns and I think 200 yards in that week 1 win versus Sweet Spring. Got 209 yards, averaging a little over 12 yards a carry up there. And Zach Deitch at running back was a quarterback as a freshman. Whenever Pfeiffer came up to high school, they moved to running back. He had another $130 and 2 touchdowns, 10 yards a carry as well for them. So very explosive on offense this year for the Aggies. And explosive didn't quite tell the story for Wellington in week 1 against Slater. They were so the opening kickoff, a freshman returned it for a touchdown, and then they scored in about 2 plays every drive against Slater the rest of the way. Hampton looked good at quarterback. He was 8 for 9 passing for 135 yards and 4 scores. Brody Best was his best receiver there as he had 4 catches for 110 yards and 3 touchdowns. It felt like he just, whenever he wanted to get behind the defense, he did. So it's kind of hard to tell because Wellington was just, I think it was 66-6 at halftime over Slater, and it looked like it on the film on there. So Wellington they're just very explosive on offense, a lot of speed. So it should be a really fun football game. I think they're in Hardin Central between 2 teams that are our district opponents in the same district and probably the 2 favorites in that district on there. So it might be a district championship preview there in Hardin. I'm really excited for this game between the Tigers and Aggies.
Give me the Aggies.
Harden was so explosive last year. It's going
Yes.
to be really interesting to see if they can keep that pace up again this year. And can either team really slow the other team down Friday night? Really might be the key to winning it.
Hoping not. Hoping there till 11 o'clock for the game keep going on and just keep getting these points up. So the opposite of an Anthony Crane game. We're going to get into
The anti-Crane game.
You would have, I know this is a high school podcast, you would have loved the Benedictine game on Saturday. We were 2 hours into it, and there was 11 minutes to go in the third quarter. It was 28-27. Neither were playing great defense. Both also were going, hurry up. So you didn't even get the 30 seconds or so from the play clock.
Nope, you're just like, we're going on here. With that, I will also take Norbert Hardenstall in this one just slightly on here. I know the Aggies won the regular season matchup last year. Will Knapp got him in the playoffs. I just think early in the season, I'm going to give the slight advantage to Norbert Harden Central. They do have Orrin Magruder is the offensive coordinator there now for the Aggies on there, so I know he's got a pretty good scheme. And I just like what the Aggies are kind of doing here. So I'm just going to trust them for this week, but I think it's going to be a great game and go down to the wire.
He just got some really great games week 1, week 2.
Yes.
Don't worry. There'll be dry weeks.
They also drop off here in a little bit.
Enjoy it now, boys. Enjoy it now.
We're just going to do some rapid fire here. Number 1 team in the state, Rockport, is hosting Princeton.
Rockport. Yeah, I think Rockport is going to enjoy this one. Unfortunately for the Tigers, it didn't go well last week, and I think now Rockport will enjoy the not having Worth County across from them, and so I think you'll see them probably do some damage.
Rockport's kind of on a mission this year, and the Tigers are kind of trying to figure it out a little bit with the new head coach. And it's going to be a tough week to work through some things.
Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to get this pulled up so you guys can see what we're doing on here. Lockwood Drexel. I'm picking Lockwood. I think Anthony has Lockwood.
Yeah.
All right. Let's let coaching. You don't have to pick this if you don't want to.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to put you in a situation there. Yeah. I get it.
Go Tigers. Yeah.
North Shelby traveling to Sweet Springs on this one. North Shelby 1-0, beat LeBlanc last week. Sweet Springs lost to a really good Norbert Harden Central team last week.
It sounds like North Shelby isn't quite having the drop-off that they made it sound like they may have at the end of last year. So, yeah, give me the Raiders.
I'm going to go North Shelby as well, though I do think Sweet Springs is improved over last year. Started a lot of freshmen. I think a big bulk of them are sophomores this year, and they're taking steps in the right direction, and they're definitely raised their floor from last year.
Yeah, I'll say this about North Shelby. They are very top-heavy, I think, talent-wise, when I look at them on film. I mean, everyone knows about Gannon Bowen. He's going to do his thing. They moved him from quarterback to running back to out to receiver. He was the ultimate Swiss Army knife for them. But the guy that no one really talked about going into that game that I was the most impressed with coming out of it was Cole Browning at running back. He started the year at running back last year, played well versus LeBlanc. I think he hurt his knee either week 2 or 3 and was out for the rest of the year. He doesn't have great top-end speed for a 65-yard touchdown on there, but he's going to get his 40-yard burst and be tough to bring down. I mean, he still ran for 212 yards on 20 carries and 2 scores against LeBlanc last week. He was really good, and he had one run, I think, in the late third quarter, early fourth, where he broke 4 or 5 tackles and carried some guys for a first down, and you could tell it was kind of the breaking point. LeBlanc had played pretty decent defense up to that point. They were still in the game. It was like a 3rd and 4, and he gained 6 yards by breaking all these tackles, and it was like, oh, that's the kind of backbreaker on there. He's just a really good player. TJ Belt, their linebacker and tight ends, also just a stud, and then Drake Prange at defensive ends. Those 4 guys just pop off a film, just making plays consistently on there for North Shelby. So if they can stay healthy, which was their issue last year in the middle of the season, those guys came back, except for Browning, healthy for the playoffs, and they were making a run there. If those guys stay healthy, they can go pound for pound, blow for blow with about anybody in the state. So I'm going to take North Shelby. as well over Sweet Springs. Number 7, Concordia, traveling to Slater. I'll take the Orioles.
Same.
For me, Concordia is building something scary, and if they can break through, I mean, they're a team to watch out for. But I think they're going to start collecting some marquee wins probably this year. I think
They looked really good versus. You could tell they were playing Bramer last week. We're going to send a little bit of a message here. They were up 63 to 6 at halftime. I believe was the halftime score there, and
What do you think the message was?
we're much better than you this year. On there, Lane Haas in the open field was borderline illegal what he was doing out there. He had another one called back due to a really bad block in the back call, and I'm like, that's not a good call. Doesn't matter because the score's really large at this point. But yeah, Haas was really good. Drogi had a couple of nice runs. Maddox, Inman, and Haas were flying around on defense. And just Bramer really struggled on there against Concordia in that game.
Couldn't happen to a worse community. So
Concordia looked really good on there. So Dean, we both picked Albany on Albany Valley game. We both picked Albany. Do you want to make a pick for that one?
When in doubt, go with Fountain.
All right, Albany it is. There you go. Post on the bulletin board in Albany Valley. There you go. With that one, how about Wellington Napoleon at Norburn Hardin Central for you?
Oh, I'm a big fan of Orrin and Watson up there. So you combine both of them. That might be my favorite coaching staff now that Thacker's out there.
I knew that was coming. I had to set it up for that one. On there, I will also note I do not have Albany Valley in my top 10.
Well, shout out to Thacker for getting his win in 11-man.
He hadn't coached there in about 35 years, so it was good to see he actually knew how to coach 11-man still. There's extra 3 guys in the field really throw things off.
They did the wise thing, and they kept him away from the kids on the sidelines and put him up in the press box.
I think they put him out in the parking lot. Has anybody
farther back, right?
Has anybody checked? Is he really a coach there?
He is. I've like, yeah, they've hired him over there.
They gave him a headset without the actual adapter, so it's just
they just have a kid on the sideline talking to him.
Yeah.
King City at DeKalb.
Go. I was gonna say go Cats, but you know.
They're both kind of Cats, but yeah, the Cats both a K on this one.
Yeah.
King City on there. Next one, Bishop Blonde at Schuyler County. Schuyler County last week played an 11-man game versus Polo. I will say I was going through last week, watched a bunch of the 8-man films, and that one popped up. I watched that one. There's too many guys in the field for me. There's too many guys out here for a high school game. There's 22 out here. It was all congested.
I'm gonna guess Schuyler still is down. I'm gonna go with the Eagles in this one.
What about you, Dean?
Well, Bishop LeBlanc's taking another big road trip this week, aren't they?
Yes, Shelbyville last week and Lancaster this week.
You know that private school money. I was told they were considering taking the PJ.
More like everyone in Northwest Missouri has shoved their scheduling, so they can't play anybody close. They can't play North Andrew or South Holt because they can't play them on there. I will say this about LeBlanc. I thought they played North Shelby pretty well. They ended up losing by 26, but it didn't feel like that watching the film. It felt like a much closer game on there. They still have some good athletes out in the field.
Barry Chuck Davis's water.
I will. There was a drive, I think the start of the second half, was probably the best drive I've seen Cooper Tabor play as a quarterback at LeBlanc. Because, in the past, he's put up some good numbers, but it's like, you know what? Trey Ike or Jacob Winklebauer are down there somewhere. Situations on there where it's like, we'll just throw those guys. Where he was actually making some really nice reads, took a big hit, still was able to deliver after that, and just made some – you could tell he was in complete control of the offense. And I think that was really good to see him do that versus a really good North Shelby team for them going forward, where they got Schuyler this week and then Wellington next week and then Knox after that. So they got a difficult 4 weeks here to start the season. That could be really interesting to see how they kind of bounce back here. I will also take LeBlanc in this one over Schuyler County. And I believe, Dean, you took LeBlanc as well?
I'll take LeBlanc.
Okay. I know Chuck has his Fast Cat shirt, so it'd be hard to take against him at this point.
It'd be hard.
Let's see here. St. Joe Christian at East Atchison over in Fairfax.
Oh, boy, that'd be a tough one to watch. I think. I don't think it'd be very visually appealing.
So I got a text when I was doing the Lockwood Archie game for my buddies up in Tarkio. After the game on there, it's like, it is 0-0 after one quarter. We have a fumble at the 2-yard line and no passes attempted yet. It's been 20 minutes. I'm like, let's go. that's what North Andrew and EA needs to be on there. It ended up being 6-0 at halftime, I think, and then EA winning 20-8 in a defensive battle. So that sounds what kind of the EA blueprint to win a lot of games this year is going to keep the scores low, play good defense, and just grind the clock with Gavin over running the ball, Brady Winahan, and they've moved Tate Johnson to kind of a fullback role on there with a cowboy collar. Love seeing it on there. Just a typical, well, those just Tarkio kids. He's a Fairfax kid actually, but just tough as nails on there.
Oh, damn it! I'm gonna have to delete another podcast.
Tate knows he's okay. His grandma lives in Tarkio, so it counts. She was my old neighbor. What's up, Tammy? We love Grandma Tammy.
I'm sure she's listening.
I think this is a much better game with a healthy St. Joe Christian team. But they're far from it right now. So, I think EA wins this one pretty comfortably.
I'll go EA as well.
I picked against them last week, and the kids there definitely let me know about it afterwards. So it's like, congratulations. You're welcome for the bulletin board material, boys on there. Next one, Rich Hill at Jasper.
You're Rich Hill.
I'm going to go Jasper here.
I will also go Rich Hill on this one. Don't really have a great reason for it. As I said, my buddy he reffed the Rich Hill versus New Heights game, and he's like, that game lasted forever because both teams tried to throw the ball, and it didn't work. So there was a bunch of incomplete passes, and the game took, I think the first half took an hour and 20 minutes or something, like an hour and a half. Like, it was an old school Pattonsburg type of game where the first half just took forever.
Kevin texted me last Friday with the old, if a game lasts or doesn't go past 10, does it even count?
Yes, it does. It does. Absolutely does. On there. Next one, Knox County at Keatsville.
Go Eagles.
Yep, go Chalk here, Knox.
Yep, it's going to Knox. I do like Cooper Clare there at running back at Knox County. Is a lot of fun to watch him versus St. Paul Lutheran. And if he gets a step on anybody, there's not many guys catching him. I think he placed in the Class 100-meter dash last year. Couldn't quite catch Kyle Emerson for Albany, but he was in that next group behind him trying to chase him down there. He's fast, and he's pretty good size, too. Like, he looks bigger on film, shoulders-wise. He looks pretty filled out there. So give me Knox County over Keatsville. Greenfield at Liberal. Both teams looking to get their first win of the year.
Go ahead, Dean. Because I'm following whatever you're going.
Greenfield ran into a buzzsaw last week with Appleton. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where they're at this year this game with a different measuring stick. Seeing Greenfield this summer, they did have some nice speed, and they're pretty salty as a team. That being said, though, I got to go with Zuha and his Capris. He's going to bust those out this week. And
you let him borrow the muck boots there, so you can just wear those at the same time?
No, his thing's the Capris, so I don't mess with those.
I don't think they're called Capris, are they? What do they call those? The Mike McDaniels? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The little joggers on there?
Yeah, joggers. Yeah.
No, we call them Capris over
Capris, the high waters, the flood's coming through here soon. Greenfield won this game last year 60-22, but I'm going to go with Coach Dean here. I'm going to take Liberal. I like what I saw on film versus them against Drexel, and I think Liberal this year is able to get that win.
Yeah, go Bulldogs.
Okay, so Anthony's picked Liberal twice this year, so if they lose again, you'll be scorn lover for the next 4 years, Zuha. So you better win this week, or else Anthony's going to be out for a while. Next one, Bramer at Lincoln, the newcomer to 8-man, making their 8-man debut from over 10 years ago.
I was told Lincoln kind of skill position is pretty good. Then I saw photos of the line, and buddy. I hope they are fast because they need speed.
Well, the good news for them is Bramer's biggest player plays quarterback, and Jameson Haley. I mean, there were situations I was watching the game, like it looks like Big Ben out here shaking off defensive ends and then chucking the ball deep downfield. Like, he does throw a really good deep ball. One
Hmm.
of their touchdowns in the first half, that ball was 40 to 50 yards in the air. He chucked that thing for a touchdown on there. So
Hmm.
Lincoln gets their debut. They do get a host Bramer on their show to go to Bramer for their first 8-man experience. They get to host him on the only turf field this year in 8-man football. So there we go.
Bill Lincoln.
We got Lincoln for Anthony. What about you, Coach Dean?
I'm gonna go Bramer because it's that first game. You're trying to figure out 8-man football. Bramer's been doing it at a high level for a while, so give him a little experience edge there.
I'll go Lincoln. Bramer's defense
High
is
level is one
still
way to say it.
Bramer's defense still isn't very good, and they just don't have the exciting offense to pair with it now. So now it's just a struggle on there for them. So I'm going to give Lincoln, even trying to figure out some stuff on there. If Anthony says they have some good athletes on the outside, I'll take it for Lincoln on this one. So give me.
Oh no,
Yep.
this is actually. I'll give credit to McGruder. He's the one that.
Okay. Oh, from the
So
Jamboree.
and
Got it.
which I assume you'll trust him more than me too. So
Yeah, probably. I trust Magruder more than you. Even though he abandoned us for a couple years, finally came back to the good side. Um, next one. Two teams who are unexpectedly 1-0 this week after last week. Pattonsburg at Mound City.
that's a tough one.
It is. This one was almost wrestled as much as Appleton and Archie was. I'm like, I really don't know what to go with.
You know
this
what,
game.
Devin? You haven't gone first at all. You go ahead.
I hate doing it. I really do. But I'm taking Mound City. I really liked what I saw versus them versus Princeton on there. They were pretty physical up front. Did a really good job up there, and they got some speed there. The Rube kid at running back, they moved from quarterback to running back there. He's looked really good in the open field. So yeah, give me Mound City over the high flying passing attack. There's another Gage at quarterback for Pattonsburg. Gage Fortner is the quarterback now instead of Iddings. But Fortner looked pretty good. They moved the Camden Griffin kid to receiver. Had a nice game. They still have Will Mays. They got some good weapons. I just think Mound City is able to upend them this week, but it should be a great game.
Not
That's a
have
tough one.
not having watched the Mound City game, is this another week of stylistic differences?
Oh, 100%. They're still
Yeah.
running the old Mound City offense that
Yeah.
you saw your first trip to Mound City, where it's still the fullback
You're gonna
behind him,
bring
the
that one
running
up,
back
aren't
off
you?
centered, and boom, boom, there it is. It's still the old bread and butter.
Pattonsburg won that style matchup last week, so I'm going to give them the edge. Seeing it again this week.
Man, I really want to go with Mound City, but
While he's thinking
yeah,
there, the combined
yeah.
offense last
Part
week
of-
for Pattonsburg
part
and
of the
Platte
problem is
Valley.
we've agreed with everything, and so this is the first one where I'm like, it could go against Devin, but I think that Mound City,
We have agreed. I don't like this.
I think they'll be more balanced. So I'm gonna go with Mound City.
So last week, Pattonsburg threw for 415 yards, ran for 95, 510 yards of offense. Platte Valley threw for 57 yards, ran for 455 for 512 total. So a little over 1,000 yards and 98 points between the two of them last week. So that was the combo there. Platte Valley and Mound City. I think Mound City secondary is a little better than Platte Valley's, so they'll be able to kind of make a couple extra stops, hopefully, and keep that game under 3.5
I
hours.
think it's a really good game.
Yes.
To be honest, I think it'd be weirdly high scoring.
Yep. I think Mound
Actually,
City
you
is
know
also
what?
much more.
It may just be a replay of last week.
Yep.
To be honest, it could be.
And then it's just turnover variance and onside kick variance decides the game
Yeah.
on there. But Mound City is much improved. That's one thing I told them. They are much improved from last year. So kudos to them. Osceola, you got a big win over Jasper
been real
last
tough
week
for them.
over at New Heights. It has been the last 5 years. They haven't been good over the last 5
They
years.
did end last year on the upswing too.
Yeah.
Last year they went 4-6. The year before that 4-7, 2-8, 5-6, 6-4. So since the injuries that happened in that middle of that 2020 season after they beat Southwest Livingston, since that point it's been some rough years there for Mound City by their standards on there. So they'll be better this year. But Osceola at New Heights, both teams 1-0, beating Jasper and Rich Hill last week, respectively on here. We'll go to our South expert here, Dean. What do you know about these two teams here?
I know next to nothing about these two teams. I do think Osceola's numbers are a bit lower. They were struggling with numbers over the summer. So I'm going to go with New Heights. Just I think they got a few more kids down there.
Based on what I saw on the mission roster, there's 17 and 13 out for both these teams on here,
Yeah,
so not a whole lot of numbers out for either one of them. Um, I will say Osceola's put the Bloom kid at running back, and he looks massive out there. I mean, he's just a smidge smaller than Bo Collins, and he's their starting tailback.
yeah,
So that's always he plays middle linebacker. So you can just always find Bloom on the field because he's a giant guy wearing 21. It's like, yeah, there he is on there. He pops out against a lot of the smaller guys there for Osceola. I do like the Bo. I think it's Home there at quarterback, running back there, a little scat back. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown versus Jasper, and he gets in the open field. He's really fast and really hard to catch down. So I will take Osceola on this one, but I don't feel great about it.
Unfortunately, I agree with you again.
You gotta stop doing that, man. What are we doing? New Heights Christian. Okay, there we go. Okay, Santa Fe at Northland Christian. I'll go Santa Fe. I'll leave the young kids there at Santa Fe. That's all I got. It's a tough game.
Yeah, I don't know how much Northland Christian cares about football, so we'll go with Santa Fe.
go Chiefs.
Attaboy. There we go. Hey, at least hopefully we have 2 Chiefs wins there on Friday because the NFL wants to play on a Friday night, which just ticks me off. We're not getting into that because I have a day job that I can't get fired from. St. Paul Lutheran at Northwest Hughesville.
Dean?
This is an interesting game here for me. I think St. Paul was hoping to come out a little stronger than they did week one. I know Coach Gifford over there has some big hopes for this season. But then Hughesville is always kind of like that dark horse in that part of the state, too. So I think it could be a good game, but I think Hughesville pulls it out at the end.
So I was able to watch Hughesville play Santa Fe a little bit on their huddle. A couple things that popped up for first of all, Hughesville, those boys love to hit. It's like one of the first things that popped up there. I know they're playing Santa Fe's not going to be great this year, but you could definitely tell early on they were imposing their will. Trying to find the kid's name here. Connor Thorpe, number 56, I believe, on film, was their middle linebacker and played some tight end, fullback for him. That kid, I think on the first long touchdown to Neaters on there, I was looking up, all of a sudden he comes out of nowhere and just blows up the defensive back trying to catch him at the goal line on there. And I'm like, it was a legal play. Like he was in front of him, hit him, but it was like, that's a 40 yards down the field, extra effort play on there that you don't usually see a lot of high school kids make. That was really fun to watch on there. You still that kid just like to hit somebody. I enjoy that. He's a thumper. I do like the Palmer kid at quarterback. Felt like Nathan Boss and the Phillips kid also love to come up and hit there. They're a team that I always kind of look at for the top 10 and just can't quite put them in that 10th spot on there. They're always like a top 15 team for me, but not quite a top 10 team. So they kind of always hang around in that middling area, kind of where I also have like LeBlond and Knox County right now in that area where it's like this team can maybe better than some people think, but not quite in that top 10 rank.
Yeah, but that's a big improvement for them. I'm just, compared to where they were.
Yeah, I mean they were 6-4 last year. 5-6 the year before. I mean, they were right in that range. They did almost upset Bramer last year, only lost to them by 10, 26-36 last year. So they've been a team that's been, as I kind of talked about, has been a barometer team on there. If you beat them, you're pretty solid. If you lose to them, you're kind of in the bottom half on there. They're a team that's you have to kind of beat to improve that next level on there. And they're hoping to get that team and hopefully to bounce at that level this year. But I like Hughesville a lot, so I'm going to take Northwest in this one.
I'm going to agree with you again.
Oh, man, we're going to go like 0 for 20 this week just because we're agreeing so much. Oric at Paris. Again, Oric, they were up 48-2 at halftime versus Northland Christian, and it being, I think, 50-30 was the final in that one with some JV kids in the second half. Paris beat Keithville 66-0, and allowed 50 yards of offense there for that. Paris took that one pretty easily. Who do you guys have in this one between Paris and Oric?
Shout out
Great.
to Coach Odell for getting his first 8-man win.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Paris is probably one of my favorite offenses to watch in 8-man football. Coach Carney up there is drawing it up.
Former
So,
Osceola coach.
yeah, I got to go with Paris.
And a 2-time podcast guest.
Oh, there we go.
Distinguished gentleman.
No one gets trouble on that podcast. No one ever got in trouble on that one.
Nope.
All right, Anthony, I'll let you pick first for this one. You got the old Bearcats of Oric, or do you want the Coyotes of Paris?
Coyotes.
Crane, I think every coach that came on your podcast isn't coaching anymore.
Peterson's still there.
Oh, okay.
And that might be the most unhinged one. Because he don't care. Peterson's still there. Barons isn't the EA anymore. Dean's not coaching at Drexel anymore. Yeah, it's
Cavan.
Yeah, Cavan, Magruder. I mean, the coach killer.
Knows how to
We're
pick
kidding.
'em.
Please join Anthony Crane's podcast. It's a good time. Next one, Stanberry at Platte Valley. Both teams trying to rebound from losses last week.
Yeah, Platte Valley's big and Stanberry isn't.
That's kind of my thought. Madsen might be bigger than two of the linemen for Stanberry combined at any point on there.
Mm-hmm.
I will also take Platte Valley.
I'm going Platte Valley, but I do think Stanberry has improved over last year.
Yes, agreed. Absolutely. I think it also might be a situation where Platte Valley lost last week, but they don't think they should have. So they're going to come out a little extra angry this week, and that's not great for Stanberry on there. And last one, North Andrew, Stewartsville. I already know that Anthony's taking North Andrew. I will also take North Andrew. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
Dean, do you want North Andrew as
Go
well?
Cardinals.
Okay. Well, the other wild card, I paused for a second because Stewartsville was the Cardinals at one point, too. I was like wait a second.
Right.
I get you now. Taking North Andrew. So that's our picks for week one. Of course, let Dean not pick Drexel and Lockwood on there. So, yeah, that's our picks for week two on there. Again, last week, Anthony went 13-9. I went 16-6. We picked all the same teams this week. So we're probably going to go like 9-9 this week. So perfect on there. Anthony, of course, for KQ2 is going to be going to a couple different places. St. Joe Christian EA and also Albany and Nottoway Valley. Trying to get a couple games of highlights there. I will be down at Hardin Central for Wellington, Napoleon, Norman, Hardin Central. And Dean, are you going to any of the games this week?
I got to see with my family situation what comes up Friday. But, I mean, there's games across the state that really catch your eye and would be great to look at. And, of course, you got the Chiefs Friday night, too.
Yeah, it makes me so mad. But luckily, I will just come home. I will have the house to myself Friday night. Fiance and her sister and my sister and all of them are going on their bachelorette parties Friday morning. So I will have the house to myself for the weekend. So once I get home from my game, I'm just going to sit in this basement and do nothing else. Besides probably rewatch the Chiefs game and look up random 8-man stuff and bug Anthony with
The
it.
guy who enjoys Excel spreadsheets is going to spend his weekend in the basement. As if that's not normal.
I mean, it's par for the course. All right, it's just what happens on here. So, any other parting words for the viewers here? I did have one person ask me on the Facebook Messenger on the 8-man account if we're doing the podcast this week, so we hadn't put it out yet. So that made me feel okay. We have to do this now because people are asking for it. And Anthony is a man of the people, so we have to make sure we take care of the people on here.
Unfortunately, I was a co-founder of sorts, so now I can't charge appearance fees.
Anthony just keeps getting roped back in. He can't run away from this anymore on here. We try to keep Dykstra away from the podcast. So, but that'll be it for today. Thank you, Coach Dean, for joining us this week. We're gonna see if we can get either Dean or Coach Gavin, or maybe even try to get Coach Barons on here every once in a while to kind of have a rotating guest, maybe to make some guest picks for us each week and kind of bring in a different voice than just me and Anthony talking into this mic. So thank you to Coach Dean. Thank you to Anthony. And that's all I got for this week. I don't have any good outros this week, so we're just going to end it here.